Hey, it's Nevin from Nev's Tech Bits here. Today I want to do something a little different. I don't want to do a how-to. I want to do a little blog. I want to talk about something, get something off my chest, and that involves Pokemon Go. Now, I've determined that if you dislike Pokemon Go, and you're not a parent, debatably even if you are a parent for this reason, and you're not a parent, you are old. Now, I understand some young parents out there who have kids running around that just won't shut up about it. They're running around with their parents' phones asking for the phone. If you only have one and you have two kids, the kids are killing each other for it. But I digress. I'll leave you guys out of this. But anyways, the reason I believe this is Barney Stinson, I believe his last name is Stinson, from How I Met Your Mother, had this theory about he could always determine how old a woman was by whether they liked Ewoks or whether they hated Ewoks. If they hated Ewoks, it meant they were too old and they were too into the Star Wars universe. They didn't like them because Ewoks, well, basically because how could a bunch of little dog things have taken down the Empire, basically? Or they were cute and they weren't supposed to be. And then everyone under a certain age, all the girls under a certain age, loved the Ewoks because it reminded them of their teddy bears. Now, I think you use the same argument with Pokemon. Now, Pokemon, take away the Pokemon, and just with the geocaching game, this is arguably the second best geocaching game out there. This is the main geocaching game that actually advertised, that most people know. A lot of people are familiar with Ingress, a beautiful geocaching game. And this game comes from Ingress. It's made by Niantic, same people. And it's an awesome game on its own. On its own, it's an awesome game. So if you don't like this game, you probably don't play very many online games or any, cell phone games. And I could argue that also means you're old. Now personally, I love Pokemon, the video game. The video game came out before the cartoon. When the cartoon came out, I was a little underwhelmed. By episode 3, it had Pikachu and Squirtle only talking in their voices, and I kind of realized, okay, I'm not the target audience for this. And it was unfortunate. But the game was awesome. Red and blue version of Pokemon blew away the other games. We'd been waiting for it for about 5 years in North America. We always heard about it in Japan, how awesome it was. And when it came out, it was something to behold. On the Game Boy, it was easily one of the best games on the Game Boy. A really simple idea, carried through beautifully. Anyways, fast forward, the next game came out, and the bad guys you got within the game, or I shouldn't say the bad guys, the Pokemon within the game aren't quite as radical, aren't quite as nasty. They're really cute. And then I noticed in a lot of places when you went up against trainers, or when trainers ran into you, they were children. They were kindergarten kids throwing their cute little Pikachus or Oddishes at you, and you just blow them away with whatever you have. And I just didn't see the allure to it. But I gotta say, Pokemon, the game, has the first 150, not the expanded universe Pokemon, just the first 150. And it makes you get up. It makes you get outside. It makes you be social with people. Now, what's wrong with being social? A lot of parents out there want their kids to get out anyways, be social, make new friends. And a lot of the friends you make will determine how well you do in the future. Like, we gotta face it, sometimes we're only as good as the friends we hang out with. Teamwork, etc. Anyways, all I'm saying is that future Barney Stinson in the bar will be able to guess a woman's age based on if they like Pokemon Go or not. Because even if you don't like Pokemon Go, and you were, let's say, 8 when Pokemon the cartoon came out, you enjoyed it, you had friends that liked it, and unless you were really stuck up, you didn't have a problem with it. Now, girls these days are so much easier with boyfriends who... these days it's easier for boyfriends to play, to read comic books. When I was a teenager, it was socially unacceptable to read comic books. It was socially unacceptable to play video games. Socially unacceptable to play Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Now, if you had the skill, if you had the look, if you had the swagger, you could get away with it, but you couldn't be hardcore into any of these things. Unless you were really lucky and you found a very accepting girlfriend. I had to throw all of these things away in order to get a girl. And it was worth it. But these days, you kids, you don't know how you got it. The girls these days, they think being a geek is cool. Hell, they are geeks. They play the same games. They read your comic books. Comic books are a big deal these days. But man, I tell you, back in the 90s, back in the late 90s when I was a teenager, I couldn't pull it off. And most people couldn't either. I still remember sitting in the backseat with my girlfriend. I bought a Punisher from a dollar store, and she was making fun of the way that they described the bullets. Buddha, 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 Buddha. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. And they were making fun of comic books. And they thought it was kind of immature that I read comic books, or that I even got this comic. But I digress. Maybe they were doing because I pissed them off about something else that day. But anyways, you just couldn't get away with it so well back then, but you can these days. Which is why, if you don't like Pokemon Go, it means you're old. Also, what I'm hearing quite a bit is on the news, a lot of news reporters saying, "Oh my god, this is horrible, oh." They're saying you gotta watch out when you play Pokemon. They're saying that people could lure you in and try to abduct you, try to kill you, and I gotta say, I'm getting really bloody sick of this fear-mongering from the news outlets. We have 24-hour news, and they gotta fill it up somehow. I was reading old Reddit threads about what it was like back in the day, in the 60s, when things were actually happening, when blacks were getting the power that they should have had to begin with, and what the news was like then. And people said, the news just reported what happened. They didn't sensationalize it. They didn't run it over and over again, and people were terrified back then. These days, the news runs it over and over again. It won't shut up about it. It won't let you forget about anything. And we are all about emotions. We ping to emotion. These days, drama videos make more money, get more hits on YouTube than any other content because of emotion. They're trying to get to your emotion, and if they can get to your emotion of fear in any way they can, and come on, America, Canada, you love fear. You people love fear. I'm Canadian too. I'm one of you. I'm North American. I love fear too. We all do. But really, you guys are finding the easiest target. The easiest target. I know a lot of women complain these days about how easy it is for women to be overlooked, to be passed up for jobs. But I don't think that there's anyone more overlooked in this world than an ugly young male. Even an ugly young female gets it better than an ugly young male. And a good-looking female, I don't care what you ladies say. One day dress up like a guy and, go out. And I mean, like, hide your boobs. Don't do your makeup. Don't do your hair. And I'm telling you, you women, a lot of you's got it easy. No, I'm not saying you got it easy everywhere. I've seen sexism, and it's ugly. It's not to be accepted. Sensationalist news. You're ruining the world, man. I swear to God, everything new comes out. You gotta look at how scary it is. You're like the old woman. No, don't do that. You don't know what could happen. Man, I've been online for so long now. A lot of you kids just know that online. How it's like, you're just living that way. But when I was younger, my first love was on the internet, and I went to meet her in Michigan. And the day before we left, her grandma, who she was with at the time, her grandma got so scared because her grandma's relative of some sort watched a thing on 60 Minutes of people online. Of course, they're all predators and they're all gonna get you. And I almost missed my ability to see my first love for the first time, which really sucked. But I managed to guilt trip them into letting me come, which was awesome. And I had a great time. But it was almost destroyed by fear-mongering. So think about it, guys. Like, think about when you're letting yourself be controlled by fear. And think about just Lighten up a little. Like, come on. And again, future Barney Stinsons. I hope I got that last name right. Future Barneys are going to know how old chicks are at the bar, whether they find Pokemon Go to be socially acceptable or not socially acceptable. So, I'm calling it. If you hate Pokemon Go, you are old. And probably middle age. You're probably 33 or older. And I wish you luck. Have a good one.